And a good example, let me give you an example of poor mitochondrial health, an elderly, frail person. Okay. That we naturally lose the number of mitochondria as we age, and their robustness, their health begins to fade as well. And so when you start feeling really tired chronically, or you're fatigued, or you're gaining weight, these are all examples of poor mitochondrial health or degrading mitochondrial health. But the really great news is that when we eat an anti-inflammatory diet, we're supplying our cells with the nutrients to provide the mitochondria. And their role is to create ATP, which is that energy I was referring to earlier. And that ATP, without it, we're sitting ducks, really, because
you're listening to the Visibly Fit podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Wendie Pett, and every week I'll give you holistic, practical solutions for everyday issues related to nutrition, healing, functional fitness, and behavior modifications. As a naturopath, fitness expert, and wellness coach for over 20 years, my goal is to empower you to reach for greater health and to rise up to your next level of living in mind, body, and spirit. You were created with greatness in mind. It's time to own it. Are you with me? Then let's dive in.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Visibly Fit. I'm your host, Wendie Pett. I'm just curious, do you ever feel a little lackluster with energy? Or maybe when you look in the mirror, aging seems to have accelerated. Oh my. You know, there could be several factors for that, but it could also be lingering inflammation. That's right. We've been talking about inflammation quite a bit on this podcast. In fact, if you go to episode 11, you'll hear more about it. But I really wanted to bring this topic in on a repeated episode and dissect it even more. And I have the perfect person to do just that. In fact, she calls this lingering low-level silent inflammation. She calls it FATflammation. That's right. Fat, F-A-T, FATflammation. And so I'm just going to read her bio quick. She is amazing. I've known her for, about 7 years. She was on my TV show way back when. And I thought, man, this would be a perfect opportunity to have her on the podcast and dissect inflammation in a greater way. But her name is Dr. Lori Shemek, and she is a leading fat cell researcher and recognized authority on inflammation and its role in weight loss, preventing disease, and optimizing health. Dr. Shemek is the best-selling author of How to Fight FATflammation, and that's with HarperCollins, and also the best-selling author of Fire Up Your Fat Burn. She is a leading health and weight loss expert and also known as the Inflammation Terminator. Ooh, don't you have a picture of that in your mind? I do. She has made it her mission to help clients lose weight and educate the public on the toxic effects of certain foods and lifestyle choices and how they create inflammation in the body, resulting in weight gain. The Huffington Post has recognized Dr. Shemek twice as one of the top 16 health and fitness experts, along such names as Dr. Oz, and the Huffington Post has also recognized her as one of the top 35 diet and nutrition experts. She is a regular contributor to Fox News, a health expert for the Discovery Channel. It's a TV show called Reversed, and ABC TV, and Good Morning Texas. And she's been featured on CNN, Fox News, Dr. Oz's Best Life magazine, Health Shape, Woman's Day, Red Book, you name it, she's been there. But she is just a well-known pioneer, basically, in creating global awareness of low-level inflammation and how it's responsible for the core cause of most illness, disease, and faster aging and weight gain. She's been talking about inflammation long before it was a buzzword, long before inflammation was cool. Dr. Lori has uncovered the pathway to the core cause of weight, inflamed fat cells that not only promote unwanted excess weight gain and belly fat, but poor health as well. So welcome to the show, Dr. Lori Shemek.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you, my
Hi,
friend.
Wendie. So nice to see you.
It's been a while. It's so great to have you on the
Well,
show.
thank you so much. It really is an honor for me. And, we see each other all the time on social media. So it's kind of like, oh, yeah, I know you.
Yeah, right. I know you.
Long, no, it's been a while, but it's like you've never gone away. So,
Right, right. We just can't get away from each other. We like
yeah,
each other that much.
exactly.
It's so good. Yeah, because I think you were on my Visibly Fit TV show. We were figuring 7 years ago. It's just
Yeah.
amazing how time
Isn't that
flies. And
crazy?
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
you've just been
It's,
doing some amazing things. I'm just so proud of you
thank
and the impact
you.
that you're making in this
I
space. And
appreciate
so
that.
yeah, so
Very
let's
nice.
kind of dive in first, I think. I want to talk about why you have such a passion. And I know you shared this on my TV show, but I think this is so important to get started. Why you have such a passion for health and wellness and why it kind of steered in the inflammation direction.
Yeah, that's always important because, we all do the things we do because we do have that passion, hopefully, right?
Hmm, hmm.
And so I grew up with a mother, a single mother, and two younger brothers. And most of the memories that I have of my mother are of her being ill constantly, different health conditions. And yet I knew intuitively, even as a young girl, that she could make different choices. And she was verging on obesity. She was smoking a pack and a half of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Her diet was, of course, which mine was as well, mostly refined, sugary foods, right?
Mhm.
Captain Crunch in the morning, and hers was coffee, cake, and coffee.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and so, but I always had an interest in health. And that's probably why I was so focused on what her diet was. Because I wanted her to get better. And so we didn't have many vegetables in our house. We did, it was just not very good situation. So she has these lifestyle choices she's making. On top of all of that, she's trying to raise three young children without any help.
Mm.
She is, her family all lived out of state. I had no father that was that was around, and so a lot of the nurturing for my two younger brothers was left to me, a lot of the cooking, and so we managed to get through, except that sadly my mother's health kept deteriorating, and she finally succumbed to cancer at the very young age of 36, leaving
Wow.
behind three young children with literally nowhere to go. So um, we were all separated, never to live together again. And,
Oh.
um, it was just a really sad situation, and it happened very fast. And so, in terms of our separation, but the reason I bring this up, and I think it's a really important reason, is because my mother did not feel like she had any choice at all in life. She felt like this was the hand she had been dealt. There's nothing I can do. Had I known differently at the time, she would have probably, she'd still be here today. And so, but suffice it to say that it became my mission to help other people really optimize their health as best as they can, right? And everybody can do that. And inflammation is a key factor in changing your life, really reducing that harmful chronic silent inflammation.
Yeah, and there's so many different triggers for that inflammation. But if I remember correctly, when your mom passed, you're the oldest, and maybe were
Right.
you like around 16 or 17 when she passed?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So that's very stressful to take on that role of being the nurturing oldest one to care for everyone else. And but you said that your siblings were dispersed, and were you guys
Yes.
ever brought back together, or are you
No, we
close
we
now?
actually are very close to this day,
Oh, good.
because we stayed in contact.
Yeah.
They created a fund for us children so that we could visit each other,
Mhm.
and during that next summer and the summer after.
Yeah.
And so it was, thank God, because it was a very difficult time for all of us.
Mhm.
But yeah, and it's so important that people know that even the smallest of choice
Mhm.
makes a huge difference in your life. And that goes with unhealthy choices as well. If they're consistent and they're chronic, then we will see the results of that.
Yeah, and it really does create that ripple effect. I mean, look how it's
Yeah.
affected you and your siblings. I mean,
Right.
it's not just about you. And I think that's
Right.
the big
Right.
thing, is that our health really is our true wealth. And I know that that's what you're passionate about too, is that there's not a ripple effect of the choice, the unhealthy choice that you may choose to decide to make, or to think it's the card, the hand that you're dealt. And that's
Right.
so not true. You can change right here today, just making one small step.
Literally. And that's a really good point you make, Wendy, because it's the decisions that we make. If you literally decide that you're going to change your health, and you stick with it consistently, even if you fall off track, but you're still there, you get right back on track, then things will move for you and you will see it
That's right.
eventually.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about this FATflammation, and you are the leading expert in this area. And it has been a buzzword for years and years, but rightfully so, because it is the marker for underlying health crises and dis-ease in the body. But let's talk about inflammation and this fatflammation as it pertains to the actual cell itself. What is
Yeah.
doing?
And so, most people know of inflammation as, say, that sore knee, right?
Yeah.
Is inflammation, but we have a couple types. We have one that's really good for us, and it's called acute inflammation, but it's not so cute because it hurts, and it's
Yeah.
that throbbing, swollen ankle or that skin knee, right? That's acute inflammation. And let's just take a cut on the finger. When you cut your finger, an enormous amount of inflammatory molecules are released, and soldiers, if you will, rush to the site of the wound and they repair it, and the soldiers go away, the inflammation goes away, and all is well.
That's good.
However, the next one type of inflammation is inflammation that isn't so good for us, and it harms our health versus healing us. And it's called chronic silent inflammation. And also, people don't realize that our fat cells promote inflammation as well. They are an inflammatory factory, if you will. They release these inflammatory molecules that literally slow down the metabolism, causing weight gain for you. So, not just weight gain, but other health conditions down the road. And so, you can look at your fat cells like these inflammatory factories, sadly, if you're overweight, and it's working 24/7. And so silent inflammation, or this chronic inflammation, is the core underlying cause of most illness, disease, faster aging, and weight gain. And so if you can reverse this inflammation in the body, and you can, then you are really optimizing your cellular health. And that means that your cells are happy, the mitochondria, which we can talk about later, crucial to optimal health, is happy. Everybody's happy, all the cells, and everybody's just getting along really well, unlike when you have inflamed cells. And and part of aging too is an inflammatory state, but you can mitigate that as well.
Yes, that's really good to know, isn't it?
Yeah,
um,
it is.
but yeah, with inflammation and fat cells, I mean, everyone needs to know you have fat cells.
Right.
It's good to have fat cells. We
Right.
need fat in our body to survive, but it's those inflamed fat cells that are the problem. And let's go into talking about mitochondria, because that is within the cell. Those are the powerhouses that are energy, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk a little bit about how that inflammation affects mitochondria. And for the average person out there, go ahead and explain what mitochondria do and the effects of inflammation on it.
Right. So mitochondria, as you mentioned, Wendy, are these little tiny organelles within a cell.
Mhm.
And they literally give us the energy, the cellular energy, to actually do what we do in life. So lifting your arm up, it takes mitochondrial energy. And and a good example, let me give you an example of poor mitochondrial health: an elderly, frail person. Okay.
Mhm.
That we naturally lose the number of mitochondria as we age, and their robustness, their health begins to fade as well. And so when you start feeling really tired chronically, or you're fatigued, or you're gaining weight, these are all examples of poor mitochondrial health or degrading mitochondrial health. But the really great news is that when we eat an anti-inflammatory diet, we're supplying our cells with the nutrients to provide the mitochondria, and their role is to create ATP, which is that energy I was referring to earlier. And that ATP, without it, we're sitting ducks, really, because we're not going to be happy. And everything slows down, and brain function slows down, weight, your metabolism slows down, and it's just not a really great way to live. But I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what your age, you can actually optimize your mitochondria with an anti-inflammatory diet and targeted supplementation, if you wish, and live a life that you're really not so worried about poor health or dealing with the poor health issues.
Well, let's talk about those that might be on an anti-inflammatory diet and they're living a quality lifestyle. I mean, according to what they think, maybe there's some missing ingredients. Maybe their sleep is kind of jacked, or they're stressed, and they need to consider that. But let's talk about those that really are putting the steps forward into creating healthy cells, but yet they're still exhausted. Would you say that there's an absorption issue? Would you say that they are? What would you say to that person on how to better their situation with the inflammation,
their outcome? Yeah, it's so a really good. I know you were alluding to it. Point is that there are many causal factors, and however, one of the main ones is the gut. Okay. And we've heard a lot about gut health recently. And there's a good reason for that, because we're, in the last 20 years, we've learned that our gut is very, very connected, the epicenter, I call it, of our every aspect of health. But in the last 10 years, I would say we're fine tuning literally what probiotics can create different health, can mitigate and improve different health outcomes. And that means like even heart disease and your lungs and your arthritis, for example, and your mental well-being. So, you think about your gut, 80% of your immune system resides within the lining of the gut. There's a direct connection between your brain and your gut health, the clarity you have, your memory, etc. Potentially preventing Alzheimer's disease is what they're looking at now with a healthy gut, and using probiotics more in prevention. And if you have any type of health conditions, even if you're tired. But having said that, there are also other things you can do to optimize gut health and increase mitochondrial health. And so one of them is physical activity. It's so important. Really.
Would you repeat that, please, Dr. Lori?
Exercise. I hate to use the word exercise.
No,
movement.
Use it. It's good. Movement. Move that body.
And so, it's really important that we look at our health from a cellular perspective. So when we move our body, we're increasing mitochondria within the cell. And there's different types of exercise and movement that actually has a huge, profound effect on the number of mitochondria within the cell. But so that's not the only thing. Our diet is key. Now, there are foods we can eat or not eat that will improve our mitochondrial health. And that means anti-inflammatory foods, actually, and foods that we should not touch.
You and I would say whole food, plant-based. You're a little bit shifted on that, but you're still there with the vegetables and fruits and
meats and I believe in meat.
You do more keto, is that correct?
No, I do it because I'm not strictly keto, and I'm not. Gotcha. Sometimes I am, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe
you listen
that
to your body.
Yeah. And I don't believe that, we have to eat the same way all the time, because I know darn well that, when we were evolving, they didn't say, okay, I'm intermittent fast. Yep. My fasting time's over. Time to eat something. Or, like they had plants available to them that they just shooed plants. Right. So when they were hungry, and, we always hear about the caveman had the big bad bear that it would take him a week to find. But it, I believe we did evolve with proteins, animal protein. And I highly believe in plants. I've seen all of the research, and
Yes,
there are so many
plants.
people out there that don't like plants and, think that they're poisonous or, have the lectins are harmful. But if you look at the research, it's there's a profound amount of it. There's an abundance of it showing that, number one, the fibers in it feed the healthy gut bacteria.
Exactly.
And that, as I mentioned, is key to your optimal health right there.
Right.
So,
Those
I think
probiotics.
there's a problem when you're fully plant-based, and there's a problem when you're fully meat-based. But somewhere in there, if you can, or do it right, you have to do things right. Like if you're plant-based, do it right. Don't, if something is, it says it's plant-based, make sure it's a healthy choice.
Yeah.
And you have to be very careful about choosing your proteins and your nutrients, et cetera. But that goes for everybody,
Right.
it's
Right.
just something we need to pay attention.
Everybody is different. And that's why I bring different experts on the show, because not everyone thinks like I do. And that's okay. I want to give my listeners the opportunity to choose for themselves.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Because I think if I am only in this camp, which, they know my camp, but that's good. But I want them to discover for themselves for what they believe is right for them.
And you don't want it to be an echo chamber, essentially.
Right. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be an algorithm of my voice. So I want to give options. So anyway, you have really been in this field for a long time. And I think of the impact you've made. And I'm so grateful for people like you and me and others that are just standing firm on what we believe, and we're making a difference in the world. And it's in a different style somewhat, but yet we still speak a truth, and it works for the people that we're working with. So it's all good. Let's talk about, we're women. So, well, I don't want to say we're vain, because that's not nice, because not all women are vain, but I guess I am a little bit. I
think so. I am.
I don't know if it's the Texas roots or what, but I'm not excited about getting older per se. So let's talk about anti-aging a little bit, and let's talk about cell senescence, right? And I want to almost say that it should be like cell SIN essence, but it's not. It's SEN.
That's funny. I like that. I have to use that one.
Okay, yeah, use it. So, how does that contribute to age-related, tissue and organ dysfunction? And let's talk a little bit about cell senescence.
Yeah, a big player. And so let me just say that there are foods, as I mentioned, like a good example.
And they're going to want to know what
of the Mediterranean diet is a great example of a healthy diet with some intermittent fasting. Okay, so you've got some plants in there, and you have your protein, and you have a healthy social life, and so much more. But anyway, it's really important to eat healthfully and anti-inflammatory based. Okay. And then what you want to do is stay away from certain foods. And we all know what those foods are. I don't even have to tell your listeners. Yes. So the sugar is a problem, a very serious problem, because I don't know if I mentioned this on 7 years ago when I was on your TV show, but when sugars and proteins come together, it's called glycation. Or inflamm-aging is the new term for cells aging faster than they need to be because of that chemical reaction in the body. So glycation, these ages actually age you, and it's like a caramelization of the bodily tissue, and it doesn't just happen.
Is gross, right?
It is. I know. It doesn't just happen on the skin, causing wrinkles and sagging skin. It happens within the body and the tissues within the body as well. So it's really an important point. And so you want to stay away from two things, very important: sugar, and also seed oils, which a lot of people refer to these as seed oils, but I think that confuses a lot of people. So what they really are refined industrial processed oils. Okay. And so a few examples would be canola oil is very inflammatory. And surprisingly, it has a health halo, if you will. So people think it's very healthy when it's extremely the opposite spectrum. Corn oil, vegetable oil, soy oil. Recent research shows that soy oil promotes brain deterioration. And so, that's the last thing you want, right? So
Probably GMO soy oil.
yeah, exactly right.
Right.
So we want to stay away from those types of oils. Okay. You want to choose avocado oil. Olive oil has been shown over and over again to be the king, to be to actually repair the damage done to inflamed cells. Okay. So
now, what would you say about just eating the whole food itself? Because that's more of kind of my approach.
absolutely.
And I'm just curious. So go for the avocado over the oil.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The oil, the avocado, the whole food is a really great choice because obviously you're getting the fiber and you're getting for the gut health, right? Avocados and olives are considered like one of the top nutritious foods out there. If you're, it's really you could replace some of your nutrients, your supplements with these oils, these foods. I mean, so and then coconut oil is another one. People are afraid of the saturated fat in coconut, but we've learned through research that saturated fat is actually a very healthy fat for you. You need it for brain health, you need it for hormone health, and for cellular health, actually. So those are a couple examples of really healthy oils to choose from. And then, so what was the original question?
We were talking about cell senescence.
That's right. So this is an important point too, because many people don't realize we have these what are called zombie cells circulating throughout our body or within our body, and they are giving off these distress signals through to the rest of the cells. And this is causing confusion in the chemical signaling within the body. And it is then causing inflammation because the cells are like, uh-oh, we have a problem. Right? So they start releasing these inflammatory molecules, and then it becomes a chronic issue. And that's why those two foods, these, if you can call them foods, that the oils, the industrial oils and the sugar are so bad because sugar literally destroys mitochondria. Okay. Just harms it.
Yeah. And did you know in the I guess it was like 1900, year 1900, we were eating about 5 pounds of sugar a year, and now we're close to 200 a year on average. That's what the average American is eating. It's mind blowing.
It is. It's just horrible. And and it's not their fault because these sugars and these oils, so they're usually like this together in these manufactured products, but nonetheless you have to look at what you're ingesting. So flip the product over, look at the ingredient list, and you'll see canola oil, sugar, right, listed right there, or
usually number 2
oil,
or number 3 in the ingredient
or
list.
high fructose corn syrup. Oh my gosh, these are so bad for you, and so aging and inflammatory. So those are the things you really want to stay away from. And then, as I mentioned, in junk foods, we all know what those are. So, but the senescent cells is a process of aging. When we're young, the body's able to get rid of them very easily. But as we age, it's becomes harder and harder because we have so many. And so now research is focusing on finding ways, therapeutic ways of removing these senescent cells. But there are things we can do to help our own body eliminate at least some of them. And so onions are one way that the body, quercetin actually is the nutrient that helps do that. Black tea, flavonoids help do that. And then there are supplements you can take to actually help the body remove these. They're called senolytics, and they help the body remove these senescent cells, which means they're not as I guess robust in terms of their effect as, say, a medication would be. But we don't want to take a medication right now until we get more research down the road.
Yes. Say that one again. Yes. No, that's so true. Because there are usually repercussions for taking medication side effects down the road. So if we can just do it naturally, that's going to be the best. Yeah. So what do you find is kind of maybe the biggest hurdle of someone that you might work with as it pertains to their health? What do they get stuck in? Like what is their thing that they have a hard time overcoming, even though you're giving them a blueprint of what to do? What do you think is kind of their stuck point? What is it? Is it like an old
Usually
story
sugar.
they're telling? Okay, so it's more the addiction.
And the
of,
story in their head is,
yeah,
I can't live without these foods.
yeah,
Okay. I can't live. If you follow me on social media, I'll put things out and people will look at the foods I'm saying not to eat and they'll go, oh,
could never do that.
Those
Yeah.
make me hungry when I see that. And so I'm trying to get the message out there that when you see these foods, and it will happen if you pay attention to your health, you're going to see these foods as, I remember when I really liked those foods. But now I know what they do to my cellular health. I know what's happening immediately. Inflammation, right? Sugar promotes inflammation immediately, let's say, and it depresses your immune system for 5 hours later, and a whole host of conditions. And so, if we want
imbalance of hormones, right?
Yes,
I mean, women are
very
always
important. That's inflammatory as well.
Exactly.
So when our hormones aren't balanced, we're experiencing inflammation as well. So really important.
Yeah. So really that addiction to sugar has been kind of the big stronghold that most of the people
that's
that you work
the
with.
thing. And, and the thing that is getting over that hurdle of, I can't live this way the rest of my life, and I always say, you take your pick, you've got you don't feel the effects right now. You may see the weight gain.
Sure.
You may feel tired, but it just gets worse down the road, with type 2 diabetes, heart disease,
right, and
chronic
that can
inflammation.
Be reversed. It can be reversed. So I just love your message, and I love that you're on a mission. And I'm sorry that you had to go through what you went through in life to be on this mission. But I'm so grateful that you have chosen this route as opposed to being bitter or resentful or something of that nature. You're making it a mission to help others really see that they do have a choice, and we do. We all have a choice. I don't care how addicted we are to whatever. I don't care if it's just if we're addicted to the story that we've told ourselves. Right? We can change.
Yeah, I love that message, Wendie. I really do. Yeah, and never, you deserve to live a life you love, and you can still have those wonderful treats and use them as treats. But when we have them daily, when we have that sugar daily, I was addicted to sugar, so I know you can do it. You can get off that sugar.
There you go. And also don't you think knowing your Achilles heel, knowing, okay, if I have a bite of this particular thing, is it going to send me down the abyss, so knowing yourself well enough not to tempt yourself, it's like I kind of always use the term of like, okay, say an alcoholic and they go to the bar thinking, oh, I've got this, I'm no problem, I can have one drink, and then that takes them back down the spiral.
It's not the way it goes.
No, it's not.
And set yourself up for success, and that means you are a product of your environment, right?
Yes.
So if you have you have that Ben and Jerry's in the back of the freezer, and one day you're going to be vulnerable.
Right. So get rid of
it. Don't keep it around. Right. And you'll be successful. You will. It just takes, and literally our taste buds literally change. So if we're used to eating all that super sweet, super fatty, unhealthy fat, toxic foods, the taste buds are geared to respond to that. But within days, literally, if you change what you're eating, they respond to the different types of foods you're choosing.
Wow. And so, you mentioned that you were addicted to sugar when you were young.
Yes.
Was it the actual death of your mom that turned things around, or was it after?
It was before she died.
Oh, it was before. Okay.
I was a child of probably a sugar addict, I would say.
Yeah.
And so our house had lots of candy. It had, like I said, the sugary breakfast cereals. And
I grew up with Frosted Flakes.
Yes.
All that stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
I loved it.
We're examples. The human body is amazing at repairing itself.
And it can bounce back. Yes, it can. It can. Well, what is maybe a word or a phrase to kind of sum up who you are as an individual and the mission that you're on?
Well, who I am is somebody who I feel cares for other people very much. And so, it was my mission early in life to help others. And I have lots of stories and why I went to school to do what I do. And, but, I just want to underscore how important it is that we all make the effort to live a quality life. And, we're just wired to look on, to protect ourselves. So that's why it makes an effort. You have to make an effort to change the way you think, even not, it's nothing is just natural. You have to really, in order to optimize, you have to be strategic about the types of foods. Conscious is a better word, about the types of foods and drink you put into your body, the thoughts that you think, because research shows that negativity actually promotes inflammation in the body. Right. And so that's that. I would say, just know that you deserve to live the life you love. And we just need to take that one step each day.
I love that, Lori. Dr. Lori. I'm sorry. I say Lori because I've known
always
you.
Lori.
Oh, you're so sweet. You are just a gem, and I love you dearly through and through. And just thank you for being on the show. And if you want to find out more about Dr. Lori Shemek, go to drlorishemek.com, and you'll find out more there and get her books and support her. You'll find her all over the place on social media. She's got great information out there. So thank you so much for tuning into Visibly Fit.
Thank you. Such an honor. I loved it.
Oh, we'll see you soon. Blessings.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Isn't Dr. Lori Shemek just the sweetest? She sure is. I'm so glad she was able to join us on Visibly Fit today. And I hope you learned quite a bit as you listened in or watched here on YouTube. She's just a plethora of information. So make sure, again, you go to drlorishemek.com, and that is SHEMEK. That's right, LORISHEMEK, and I'll have it on the bottom of the screen as well and in the show notes. But you will find out more information there, and you'll find her on Instagram and Facebook and all those wonderful places as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I would just appreciate you all the time, every week, for your support and listening. And thank you for stepping up and putting a 5-star rating and writing a review. A review is so important as it helps other people find this podcast. So thank you in advance for doing that. And if you want other resources and information on any topic as it pertains to health and mind, body, and spirit, go to wendiepett.com. You can find more there as well. So thank you. Have an amazing day. In fact, make it a visibly fit day. Catch you next time.
Well, that's a wrap for today's show, so thank you so much for tuning in. I love spending this time with you. To learn more and get more free resources, just head on over to wendiepett.com, and thank you in advance for sharing this episode and this podcast, following and subscribing not only to this podcast, but finding me on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. Until next week and our next podcast time together, make it a visibly fit day.